I remember when I first moved into that small, cozy house with Mark, my husband. It felt like a dream, surrounded by a little garden and just a stone's throw away from his parents, George and Helen. I thought it was perfect, having family so close, but I didn't know then what I know now. Our son, Tommy, was just a year old then, a bundle of joy and endless energy. Mark was different back then, or maybe I just saw what I wanted to see. His parents, well, they seemed like the sweet old couple next door. I learned pretty fast how wrong I was. It started with small things. George and Helen would always pop by, asking for favors, borrowing things they never returned. I didn't mind at first, happy to help, but their true colors showed when I needed them. One afternoon, I was knee-deep in laundry and house chores, and Tommy was being particularly fussy. I called Helen, hoping she could watch him for an hour. "Rachel, dear, I wish I could." Helen's voice had that fake sugary tone, but George and I are just so worn out. You know, with our age and all. I understood or tried to, but not long after, I saw them heading out, all spruced up for one of their shopping sprees. It stung, but what could I say? Mark wasn't any help either. One evening, I tried talking to him about it. "Mark, do you think your parents could help out a bit more with Tommy? They always say they're tired, but—" He cut me off, his voice sharp. "Rachel, they're old. They don't owe us babysitting. Besides, can't you manage? Why are you always so needy?" His words hit me like a slap. Was I being unreasonable? I couldn't even tell anymore. Then there was my mom, the sweetest woman who ran her own bakery. She had this knack for baking the most delicious buns and pastries. George and Helen found out about her bakery, and suddenly they were there all the time, smiling and chatting, sweet as honey. "Rachel, darling, your mother is a gem," Helen would gush, as they left with bags of free-baked goods. I remember telling my mom, "You don't have to give them so much for free, Mom." But she just smiled. "It's fine, dear. It's not that much." I wanted to believe that, to believe in the goodness of people. But something in me was starting to see the cracks in this picture. Perfect family setup. I just didn't know how deep those cracks went, not yet. A couple of years have passed. The rhythm of my life had become a relentless march of duties and unmet expectations. Every day was a repetition of the last. Wake up before dawn, prepare breakfast, get Tommy ready, clean, cook, and try to snatch moments of rest in between. It was like being stuck in a whirlpool, spinning endlessly. I remember one morning, the sunlight barely peeking through the curtains, and Tommy's cries piercing the quiet. I rushed to his room, still groggy, only to find him wide awake and playful. "Mommy, play!" he exclaimed with a toothy grin. As much as I adored him, I was exhausted. "Just a little while, honey," I managed to say, mustering a smile. The day unfolded in its usual chaos. Between laundry piles and Tommy's games, I tried to keep up. The phone rang amidst this whirlwind, its shrill tones slicing through the noise. It was Helen, her voice laced with expectation. "Rachel, dear, could you come over and help me with some cleaning? My back is acting up again." I glanced at the mess in my own house, feeling a twinge of irritation. "Helen, I'm swamped here. Maybe another time?" There was a pause, heavy with disappointment. "Oh, I see. Well, never mind then," she said in a tone that suggested I had deeply wronged her. The guilt was immediate and overwhelming. Was I being selfish? But as I hung up, I looked around at my own home, my own life, all needing attention. That evening, Mark came home, his face set in a frown. "Mom's upset. She needed help, and you just blew her off." I felt my defenses rise. "Mark, I'm not just sitting around. I have our home and Tommy to take care of." He snorted. doesn't look like you're doing a great job. This place is a mess, and what's for dinner anyway?" His words stung, and I fought back tears. "I'm doing my best, Mark. I really am." He just shook his head and walked away, leaving me standing there, feeling smaller than ever. The next day, I hoped for a reprieve, but it was not to be. George knocked on the door, his usual easygoing smile in place. "Rachel, I need a hand with fixing the shed. Lend me your toolbox." Despite the million things on my to-do list, I nodded and handed him the tools. "Sure, take what you need." As he walked away, I couldn't help but feel used. Was I nothing more than a resource to them? A convenience? The next morning, I woke up to Tommy's laughter and Mark's impatient grumbling. The day beckoned with its usual demands, but something in me had shifted. A tiny spark of rebellion, maybe, or just the stirrings of a long, dormant self. Reft. Whatever it was, I knew one thing for sure. I couldn't go on like this. As I made breakfast, I decided I would start taking small steps towards my own dreams again. It wouldn't be easy, but I had to try. For Tommy, for myself. The day that broke me started like any other, but by the time the sun set, my world had shifted irreversibly. I was in the middle of wrestling with a mountain of laundry when my phone buzzed. The screen flashed an unknown number. "Hello? Rachel? This is Mercy Hospital. Your mother had a heart attack. She's stable now, but you should come quickly." My heart plummeted. Mom? My rock, in the hospital. I needed to get to her. But Tommy. I called Helen in a panic. "Helen, it's Mom. She's in the hospital. I need to get there. Can you watch Tommy?" Her response was cold, detached. "Oh dear, that's bad. But we're just about to sit down for our TV show, and we're not really up for babysitting today. Unless, you could make it worth our while." "Worth your while? Helen, this is an emergency." "Well, $300 should cover it. We're missing our favorite show after all." I couldn't believe my ears. I hung up, feeling a mix of anger and disbelief. How could they be so heartless? I dialed Mark next, hoping for some support, some understanding. "Mark, Mom's in the hospital. I need to go. Your parents want $300 to watch Tommy." His reaction was like a slap in the face. "Rachel, stop overreacting. It's just a heart attack, and Mom and Dad have a point. Their time is valuable." Valuable? My mother could be dying, and all you care about is a TV show and money? "Look, I'm busy at work." "Handle it, Rachel. And remember, my parents come first." His words echoed in my ears long after I hung up. I was alone in this, utterly alone. In a daze, I called my friend Lisa. "Lisa, I need help. It's my mom." She didn't hesitate. "I'll be right there. Go to your mom, Rachel. I've got Tommy." At the hospital, the stark white walls and the smell of antiseptic were overwhelming. I found my mom lying in a bed, pale but conscious. "Mom," I whispered, taking her hand. "Rachel, I'm okay," she murmured, though her voice was weak. The doctor pulled me aside. "She's stable, but she'll need care and supervision once she's home." Home! The word echoed in my mind. What was home now? A place where my struggles were invisible, my pain unacknowledged? I returned home late, my mind a whirlwind of emotions. I found Mark on the couch, indifferent. "Your mom okay?" he asked, not looking up from his phone. "She needs care. I might have to stay with her." He shrugged. "Do what you have to do. Just don't expect me to pick up your slack here." The days following Mom's heart attack were a blur of hospital visits and tough decisions. I spent every moment I could by her bedside, the fear of losing her a constant shadow. Amidst it all, The thought of going back to my old life with Mark and his parents felt impossible. One evening, as I sat beside Mom's hospital bed, her hand in mine, she whispered, "Rachel, I'm sorry for all this trouble." "Mom, don't be silly. You're not trouble. You're my mom. I'm staying with you," I said firmly, more to convince myself than her. She squeezed my hand, a silent thank you in her tired eyes. The next hurdle was telling Mark. I called him from the hospital parking lot, my heart pounding. "Mark, I've made a decision. I'm moving in with Mom. She needs constant care." There was a pause, then a harsh laugh. "You're kidding, right? What about your duties here? What about Tommy?" "Tommy's coming with me. And as for my duties, I think I've done more than enough." Mark's voice rose, sharp and accusing. "You can't just abandon your family like this, Rachel. My family needs me, Mark. And right now, that's my mom and Tommy." His response was a string of angry words and accusations. But I held my ground. For the first time in a long time, I felt sure of my decision. Packing up my things, and Tommy's felt like shedding an old skin. Each item I placed in the suitcase was a step away from the life I had known, a life where I had felt invisible, unappreciated. Mark watched in silence, his anger simmering. As I zipped up the last bag, he finally exploded. "So, that's it? You're choosing your mother over me? Over us?" I looked him in the eye, my resolve steeling. "I'm choosing to do what's right. You made your priorities clear. Now I'm making mine." The drive to Mom's was a mix of fear and relief. Fear of the unknown, of starting over. Relief at leaving behind a life that had become suffocating. Arriving at Mom's felt like coming home. A real home filled with love and care. I set up a small room for Tommy and started to settle into a routine of caring for Mom. Mom's health was improving, slowly but surely, and with each day, I felt a bit stronger, a bit more like the woman I used to be, the woman I wanted to be. Living with Mom and Tommy in her cozy, familiar house was like breathing fresh air after being underwater for too long. Each morning, I woke up to the sound of birds chirping outside and Tommy's giggles as he played with his grandma. But it wasn't all sunshine. The reality of my new life, especially the divorce, weighed heavily on me. One afternoon, as I was sorting through some old papers, Mom looked at me, concern etched on her face. "Rachel, are you sure about the divorce? It's a big step." I nodded, feeling a mix of sadness and resolve. "I know, Mom. But staying with Mark, it was suffocating me. I need to find myself again." She reached out and squeezed my hand. "I'm here for you, honey. Always." The divorce proceedings were tough. Mark was bitter, throwing accusations and trying to make things difficult. But I stood my ground. I wanted freedom, not just for me, but for Tommy too. One day, I received a call from my lawyer. "Rachel, Mark is demanding full custody of Tommy, claiming you're an unfit mother." My heart raced with anger and fear. Unfit? Because I chose to care for my sick mother? "It's just a tactic, Rachel. Stay strong." The legal battles dragged on, but eventually, the divorce was finalized. I was granted full custody of Tommy, a relief that brought tears to my eyes. But with that relief came the daunting reality of single motherhood and the financial struggles ahead. I started helping Mom in the bakery, learning the ropes of the business. It was hard work, but fulfilling. The smell of fresh bread and pastries, the smiles on customers' faces. It was a world away from the life I had left behind. One evening, as we were closing up, Mom said, "Rachel, you have a real talent for this. Maybe you should think about expanding the business, make it your own." The idea was both exciting and terrifying. Could I really do it? Was I capable of running a business? The next few months were a whirlwind of activity. I took a few online business courses, revamped the bakery's menu, and even started a small online presence. The bakery began to attract more customers, and our little venture started to bloom. Amidst all this, Tommy was thriving. He loved the bakery, often helping out with small tasks and charming the customers with his bright smile. One quiet evening, as I tucked Tommy into bed, he looked up at me with his big, innocent eyes. "Mommy, I like it here. Grandma's house is fun." I kissed his forehead, feeling a surge of love and protectiveness. "I'm glad, baby. Mommy likes it here too." Lying in bed that night, I reflected on the journey I had embarked upon. It was a new beginning, and I was ready to see where it would take us. Life at Mom's with Tommy was settling into a comfortable rhythm. The bakery was doing well, and Mom's health was steadily improving. But just when I thought I had left the past behind, it came crashing back in the most unexpected way. One evening, while I was going through the bakery's accounts, my phone rang. The screen flashed Mark's name, a name I hadn't seen in months. My heart skipped a beat. "Hello?" "Rachel, you need to come over. It's urgent." Mark's voice was frantic, a tone I hadn't heard from him before. "What happened? Is it Tommy?" Panic gripped me. "No, it's my mother. She's fallen and broken her leg. Dad can't lift her, and I can't handle this alone." I paused, memories of their indifference flooding back. "Mark, why are you calling me? We're divorced. Your parents aren't my responsibility anymore." He was almost shouting now. "You're the only one nearby who can help. Just come over, please." The desperation in his voice was hard to ignore, but the wounds were still fresh. "Mark, I can't. I have my own life now. You need to figure this out." He cursed under the breath. "So that's it. You're just going to leave us in this mess." "Mark, remember when my mom was in the hospital? Where were you and your parents then?" The line went silent for a moment. Then he hung up. I sat there, phone in hand, a mix of emotions swirling inside me. Guilt, anger, relief. It was a harsh reminder of the life I had walked away from. The next day, Lisa came by the bakery. "Heard about Mark's mom. You okay?" I nodded, pouring us both a cup of coffee. "Yeah, I'm fine. It just brought back a lot of memories." Lisa sipped her coffee, her eyes full of understanding. "You did the right thing, Rachel. You can't keep bailing them out." I knew she was right, but it didn't stop the nagging feeling in the back of my mind. Had I become as cold and uncaring as they were? Weeks passed, and life went on. I heard through the grapevine that Mark's parents were struggling with caregivers, but I kept my distance. I had my own life to live, my own battles to fight. One night, as I tucked Tommy into bed, he asked, "Mommy, why don't we see Daddy anymore?" The question caught me off guard. Daddy and Mommy are living different lives now, but he still loves you, and so do I very much. "Okay, Mommy," he said, snuggling into his pillow. Several weeks had passed since that unexpected call from Mark. Life in the bakery with Mom and Tommy had become my new normal, a rhythm of early mornings and the comforting routine of baking. One morning, while arranging the pastries in the display, Mom mentioned casually, "I heard from Mrs. Green that Mark's been having a hard time with his parents. Seems like the nurses they hired don't stay long." I paused, a twinge of something, pity, maybe, flickering inside me. "Really? That's tough." Mom nodded. "Yes, apparently his mother's temper and his father's complaints are too much to handle." I sighed and continued with my work. Despite everything, I couldn't help but feel a bit sorry for Mark. But that part of my life was behind me now. The bakery had become my sanctuary, a place where I could pour my energy and creativity. The customers loved the new recipes I introduced, and their smiles were my daily reward. As I mixed dough for a batch of bread, Tommy came bouncing in fresh from school. "Mommy, guess what? I got a star on my math test?" I swept him up in a hug, his laughter filling the room. "That's amazing, Tommy! I'm so proud of you!" Mom watched us, her eyes shining with happiness. "You two are my everything," she said, her voice thick with emotion. Later that evening, after closing up the bakery, I sat with Mom, sipping tea. "Mom, this bakery, it's been a blessing. I don't think I could have made it without this place. Without you." She reached over and squeezed my hand. "Rachel, you're stronger than you think. You've made a new life for yourself and Tommy. That's something to be proud of." As I lay in bed that night, I thought about my journey, the pain, the struggle, and the triumphs. I had come out on the other side, stronger and more self-assured. My life had taken a turn I never expected, but I had found happiness in places I never thought to look. I thought about Mark and his parents briefly, hoping they would find their way through their challenges. But my focus was here, with my son and my mother, in the life I had rebuilt from the ground up. Life moves on, and so had I. I had found joy in the simple things, the smell of fresh bread, Tommy's laughter, Mom's stories. I had learned to cherish these moments, knowing they were the real essence of life. As I drifted off to sleep, I felt a sense of peace. I had risen from the ashes of my old life, and I was ready to embrace whatever the future held. It was a crisp morning at the bakery, the air filled with the scent of fresh bread and cinnamon. I was arranging the pastries when Mark's parents walked in, as if they were regular customers. The sight of them took me aback. "Rachel, dear, could we have a few of those delicious buns? On the house?" "Of course," Helen said with her usual presumptuous air. I took a deep breath, steadying myself. "I'm sorry, Helen George, but I can't give away pastries for free. You'll have to pay like everyone else." Their expressions soured. "Well, aren't you greedy now? No wonder our son divorced you," George sneered, and they left without another word, not even asking about Tommy. As they walked out, a wave of emotions washed over me, but I stood firm. It was a stark reminder of why I had made the choices I had. I was done being taken for granted, done being the doormat, done being the doormat. Later, as I was teaching Tommy how to knead dough, he looked up at me with his big, curious eyes. "Mommy, why were Grandma and Grandpa here? Why were they mean?" I hugged him close, choosing my words carefully. Sometimes, people don't understand that it's not nice to take advantage of others, but it's okay. We're doing just fine without them. He nodded, seemingly satisfied, and turned his attention back to the dough. That evening, after closing up the bakery, I sat with Mom over a cup of tea. "Mom, Mark's parents came in today. They haven't changed." Mom sighed, taking a sip of her tea. "Some people never do, dear. But you've grown so much. You're not the same person who would let them walk all over you." She was right. The journey I had embarked upon had changed me. I was stronger, more confident, and I had learned the hard lesson of standing up for myself. Reflecting on the past months, I realized how far I had come. From the ashes of a broken marriage and a life filled with doubt, I had risen. I had built a new life for myself and Tommy, a life filled with love, respect, and dignity.